First week from 7,000 rides a day to we went up to around 11,000 rides a day or something. And then week 3, I think we did 24,000 rides a day or something. The investors that we talked to were like amazed that they had never seen a company grow like this. I mean, 5x in a month. And all of a sudden, the media started publishing that all the 3 apps are banned. Ola, TaxiForSure, Uber, all 3 of them are banned. One is hard to sell a company. Another thing is to sell a company to the competition that you hated the most. If you had respect for the competition, it's a different story. I had days where at 4 a.m. My investor calls up and said my taxi hasn't arrived. Right, then I come to the office at 6 a.m. and figure out that there are a lot of operational issues and stuff like that. Right, and sometimes you don't even understand why did you even start this company.
This is Origin Stories, a show about Indian brands, businesses, founders, and how they got here. Meet Ragu, the accidental entrepreneur behind TaxiForSure. What started as a quest to tackle a daily hassle blossomed into a multi-million-dollar venture spread across a dozen Indian cities, marking one of the biggest success stories in India's startup scene. Join us as we journey with Ragu, right from his younger days, cruising through college to the spark that led to TaxiForSure. We'll also dive into the tough moment that led him to sell his beloved company, a place he pictured himself leading indefinitely.
80s kid, born, brought up in Bangalore, typical middle class background. Father was a government employee, mom was a housewife. I have 2 siblings, elder sister and younger brother. So studied in the state syllabus here in Bangalore. So studied in one school till 7th grade. Then went to one of the most popular schools in Bangalore South then. For my high school, then 11th and 12th, whoever studies in those high schools goes to the same college for 11th and 12th. Then the same set of people end up in NITK, Suratkal for engineering. So that's been the case. Childhood was good childhood. Had amazing bunch of people, was extremely active in sports, good in acats also. Then CT happened, got a good rank, ended up in KRC Suratkal. So that's when I started interacting with people who are non-Kannadigas. Alright, so then it was an REC. Right, 50% is for Karnataka, 50% is for other states. Some people were good at relationship, managing relationship and stuff like that. Some people were good at leadership, right? So, because till then I always felt that accounts is the only way out, right? If you're good at accounts, everything in the life will be sorted for you. That right, during engineering is when I figured out that there is more to life than just accounts. The different aspects of personality and stuff like that. I think first year also I topped my batch. Then second year onwards, I thought that I'm in the pursuit of all the wrong things, right? So that's when I started getting involved myself in some of the events that used to happen in engineering college, right? So there was a lot of culture events, tech fest, right? So there was a club called Computer Society of India, but sports was always there. Almost every day I used to play sports, but again, amazing bunch of people. 2 years I worked in Texas Instruments, probably the best company to work with. I graduated of engineering in 2003, very, very bad market. 2002 was the placements. That was when the dot-com bust had happened.
And you've spoken about how sports sort of helped you build a muscle for stress, for going through life, right? Can you talk a little bit about that?
So that I used to play sports because that was the only thing to do. I mean, I always played team sports because individual sports weren't really the game. Badminton, the rackets would be expensive. Tennis, the rackets would be expensive. Cricket was a lot more easy. But over a period of time, I realized that I think that has kind of nurtured me. And every game was played with so much of passion, right? So there used to be fights also, right? But no, there were no permanent enemies, right? The player whom you fought today, right, is probably your teammate the next day. Because there are no permanent teams. So every day you keep changing your players and stuff like that, right? But every day you played with the same amount of passion on the same ground with the same set of people for years together. And winning was so super important. But when I look back, I don't even remember the number of matches we won.
Playing was the aim.
Playing was the thing. When I look back, I have amazing memories of the days we fought, the days we played. Right? We lose a match, we don't get depressed. Right, okay, fine, we made a mistake. Next time we'll change the batting order, we'll change this and stuff like that. Right, and we get ready for the next match. Right, either way, so victories. So because of that upbringing for years together, right? So success doesn't really get into my head. So all these little bits, right? So helped me a long way.
Got it. And when you got your job offer in Texas Instruments, this is a move back to Bangalore?
I was in Bangalore.
Okay, what was that like, getting into an MNC? This is 2000?
Oh, so nothing, because my seniors were there.
Okay.
I mean, it's also the thing is, if you're academically good, right, you study in the same schools, right? From high school, you go to the same college. From the same college, you end up in the same engineering college. From the same engineering college, you end up in the same workplace.
And you were there for how long?
2 years. So then I wrote MBA, cleared all 6 IIMs, ended up in Ahmedabad. So there even further culture shocks because I always grew up with engineers, and there I found people who are from MBA, medicine background, lawyers, CAs, architects, designers. So you read a same story, same case, and you feel that this case is no brainer. Then somebody comes up with a completely different perspective of looking at it. I was like, how did I miss it?
And what did you do post IMA?
I used to work with a company called Feedback Ventures, which was into infrastructure consulting. So 2006, 2007 is when I think India was investing very, very heavily in infrastructure. The Golden Quadrilateral was built, North South East West corridor was supposed to be built. Delhi had won the Commonwealth Games, right?
So how long were you on this company?
3 years, 3.5 years.
And what did you do next?
So quit that company to start TaxiForSure.
God, can you take us through the journey of like one day you're a good student, good graduate, good employee, and like what's like the spark for you to even consider entrepreneurship?
A lot of my friends, when Flipkart became Flipkart, right? A lot of my friends said that they had the same idea in 2003. They were in the US after they graduated from engineering, but they didn't muster the courage to quit and come back. 2010, so me and my co-founder used to catch up quite often. So we were friends since our 10th grade, Appu. So we were friends since 10th grade, right? So we were kind of like neighbors. We went to the same engineering college. Then I worked for 2 years, then went to IMA. He worked for 3 years, and then came to IMA. So he was 1 year junior to me. One day we caught up, tavern in Museum Road. We were just having a drink, and then we were cribbing about all this, and then we talked about all the things that we are not happy with our life. That's when we were like, okay, I mean, my company doesn't have partnership with taxi companies in all cities. Sometimes they ask me to call up the local call center and book a taxi and stuff like that. And it's a pain. You call up during peak hours, you have a flight to catch, but nobody's picking up your phone. So it's a pain. And I also face the same thing. I think he was in JLL. He was doing a BD role. I was a consultant with Feedback Ventures, and
So
we used
both
to
of you
travel
had to travel around India a lot.
As a concept, infrastructure, right? I need to go to places where the infrastructure projects were on. So he was into business development, right, for JLL, which is a hotel chain, which was a consulting managing for hotel chains and stuff like that. So there were multiple operators. I had like 10 taxi operators numbers, and he also had around more or less the same thing. So you call up, let's say, Meru. The Meru call center is busy. So then you call up Mega Cabs, right? Then you call up Easy Cabs. Let's say the Easy Cabs guy picks up your phone. Right, and if Andri says that there are no free easy cabs in the area, but you see that there are free taxis which could be mega cabs or Meru cabs. So that's when we realized that why can't we just aggregate all the supply and provide a platform for our customer to see where the taxis are and provide a channel for them to communicate.
Which year is this?
This is 2010 August.
What is so special about that time, Raghu, that same time there is DD Rache, there
So
is
the
Grab.
February 2010 is when the geolocation sensor made it to the smartphones.
Got it.
So because of which tracking became a lot more easy. Meru had a 80,000 rupees then, 2010, 80,000 rupees GPS device. Right? Once the GPS geolocation sensor made it to the smartphone, within the 5,000 rupees smartphone, we can easily track where people are. So what we did was we had a bunch of college kids and asked them to stand in front of malls, right, and speak to people there. I think we got around 2,800 responses. And 92% of the customers said that they also face the same problem. And by this time, we had a good questionnaire of 15 questions, 10 objective type and 5 explanatory oriented questions. People who took time to think and answer those last 5 questions. We met around 30 of those guys in person because we had the contact info and stuff like that. When we talked about the solution to them, or when we saw that sparkle in their eyes and stuff like that, then we thought, oh, we have something. Till then, we never talked about the solution. After that only, we resigned. Till then,
Same time both of you resigned.
I resigned first,
Okay.
then he resigned 2 months later.
Did you guys have any obligations like family, education loan, marriage?
So I was married, he wasn't. So I had to convince me, my wife and Apramaya, all 3 of us were engineering classmates, right? So he also knew my wife. So we both of us went and spoke to her to convince her.
To convince your wife?
Convince. Both of us had to convince. And I think I was in Gurgaon, Appu was in Hyderabad, and whenever we used to work on this, do all this research, he would fly to Gurgaon and he would stay at my place. So both of us would go and talk to Shilpa, right, telling her, oh, we have this amazing idea and stuff like that. And you know what she did? She laughed at us. Like, entrepreneurship and you guys...
Not going to happen.
Not going to happen. You guys not going to happen.
Why did she say that?
Huh?
Why did she believe that?
She knows as well because she had seen us from when we were 17, 18, right? She told that fine. But she agreed to that concept that, okay, 2 years, try out for 2 years. And she said that, how are you going to initially fund all these things? Then she thought that we don't know how to do it, right? We'll probably move back to Bangalore, right? Bangalore is home for both of us, stay with parents and get this thing done. That's how we thought. Then she said that if that is the case, it's not going to happen. If you're not going to raise investments, you're not going to be able to build a team. So let me do this, even though she was not so completely convinced, right, about what we were trying to do. Right. So what she said was, let me go to Singapore. She was to work with IBM, whose client was the Development Bank of Singapore. Let me go to Singapore, earn in dollars. Right, and share some money with you guys so that you can start building a team and getting it done. Because
She's almost like the first angel investor.
Oh, the most painful investor though. But yeah, she was the first
Demanding.
investor. Oh, extremely demanding.
What was like the first 60, 90 days of TaxiForSure like?
60, 90 days of TaxiForSure was terrible. So the whole, I think the first 6 months went in only meeting investors only. We never worked on the product, nothing we did. Only kept on meeting investors, do more research here, more research there, right? And some of my friends also figured out that we had quit. We got a couple of folks who were working in another company, tech startup itself. But after 6 o'clock, 7 p.m. to 10 p.m., they would come to our office and they would do. We had a 10 by 10 office, right? And they would come and 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. they would typically work on the product. So it took us 2 months for us to get the product out, right? And once we went live, so this was somewhere in June 5th, 2011, we went live with the product. And we were so naive. As soon as we went live, we thought that the phone will start ringing. The goddamn phone didn't ring at all for days together. All right. So then we were like, okay, we talked to some of our friends who are working large corporates. Guys, can you put this in your intranet? Can you talk about TaxiForSure in the intranet? They're like, I will do. But they won't do that. Then we realized that they didn't know what to write. So then after a few days, we gave them a blurb. Can you please post this on your intranet, post it in your Google groups, Yahoo groups. Then Yahoo groups were very bad, right? We started doing all that. And slowly, so June, I think we did 1 ride a day on an average. July, we did 3 rides a day. August was around 4 rides a day. September was around 8 rides a day. October was 10 rides a day. Somewhere in November, we figured out that, we were looking at the data. And I realized that there was one customer who had taken 50 rides with us in October. So we did 10 rides a day in October, so around 300 odd rides. One customer had done 50 rides. Then we realized why this one customer has done 50 rides. And if at all somebody is doing 50 rides, no, if it's somebody booking for the office, they would call for and ask for a discount. This customer also didn't call us and ask for a discount and stuff like that. Why would anybody book 50 times? So this was around 11:30 in the night. So then I called up the driver who had picked up and dropped the customer. All right, who's this customer? So that guy is, madam to pregnant thi. Oh, then we realized that, pregnant woman. So that's the reason it's like, home to office in the morning, office to home in the evening, weekends you are visiting the maternity hospital. No wonder it's 50 rides.
Product market fit.
Not product. So it's a good insight. The next day morning, we went, we felt that those pregnant women are amazing, right? Very good retention, right? Customer for 8 months at least. Right, and they do aerobic classes and yoga classes with other pregnant women. Good referrals also, right? So there's a great category. So let's go, right? So we went and stood in front of Cloud9 in Jayanagar, right, in the morning. So then we saw that. So the thing about most of these maternity hospitals is they don't really have parking. So what the husband does is drops the woman in front of the gate, goes and finds parking on the road somewhere and walks back. They will not go park together and walk back together because nobody wants the pregnant woman to walk too much. Drop in front of the gate and go. So we were standing in front of the gate. So when the pregnant woman is dropped and the husband goes to park there, so you have that exclusive. And she's also not going inside. She's waiting for the husband to come, right? So you get that person dedicatedly. So then we attempted. So we are from TaxiForSure. We run this business. So do you need any taxis? To go to office and stuff like that. And she was like, but would your driver call me and ask me for directions? I get irritated with people drivers calling me and asking for directions. No. Our drivers are well trained. Once the first time you go there, we'll set the GPS location. Next time onwards, we send the GPS location, the driver will come to you. So okay, then it is good. I will try it out. So, but we make a note, right? Second, one of the other customer, pregnant women told us that would the driver be honking inside the car? So no, they will not honk. The one is, guys, will they roll down the windows or will they roll up the windows and switch on the AC? It's like they will switch on the AC. And so one of the person showed that would they jump on humps and potholes and stuff like that. No, they're trained not to jump and stuff like that, right? And this we started at around 6:30 a.m., 7 a.m. in the morning. By 10:30 a.m., we had this good pamphlet. It's like TaxiForSure drivers trained to ferry pregnant women. No calling for directions, no honking, no rolling down the windows, right? And no jumping over humps and stuff like that, right? So, and we, right? So then we stood in front of Motherhood, Cradle, and multiple other places. So November, we did around 60 rides a day. We moved from 10 rides a day to 60 rides a day in November, primarily because we got this pregnant women category. So then the investors who were talking to us and stuff like that, they were like shocked. You were doing 1, 3, 5 and stuff like that, right? How did you get to this? Then we told them that this is what we figured out, and this is like working out and stuff like that. And you know what? And our entire pitch presentation was, we wanted to raise 50 lakh rupees then. Right, and we had a plan for what will we do with 50 lakh rupees. So they made us sit and stuff like that, and so Axel office, then Helion also got into the call, and they were like, we like you, our minimum check size is 2.5 crores, right, and both of us want to invest, so totally we'll give you 5 crore rupees. Wow. And we were like, okay, 50 lakhs, we have a plan, what do we do with 5 crores? Right, and we didn't even know how to react also, right. I think this happened at around 4 p.m. or 5 p.m. in the evening, and so we came back at 7 or 8 p.m. in the thing, right? We were discussing. I think that was the night we were like super depressed. That is when I think the reality of starting up hit us. So then it was once in a lifetime opportunity. Let's give it a start.
And this is your Series A.
This is seed.
This is seed. Okay.
Seed was $1 million. Then dollar was 50 rupees.
Got it.
Right, so it was 50 million. So we raised 5 crores and didn't know what to do about it. By the time we were at around 80 rides a day, then they gave us that money and asked us to get to 500 rides a day. Right, and we told with this 5 crores we can get to 1,500 rides a day. I told no, there's 500 rides a day, and did that, right. And we went to next 8 months only we got to 700 rides a day.
How did you find your first population outside of pregnant women? Like who was that?
Oh, corporate guys initially significantly. These were the guys who used to use taxis. So we went and blasted everywhere on the company's intranet and things like that about TaxiForSure and stuff like that. And then primarily the focus was airport, Bangalore airport and stuff like that. And once we got the money, because we were getting popular and stuff like that, no, and we were not able to manage the experience across 8 cities. We cut down all the other cities. Only we were present in Bangalore. Only we were doing Bangalore only. So primarily airport is what we were doing. So we used to bid for Google AdWords, right? We did a lot of SEOs.
And at what time did you choose to expand to other cities? At what juncture did you say, okay, now I'm ready for Chennai?
So after we did the seed was whether the model is scalable and whether we will be able to handle scale and stuff like that. That's what happened. And right, when we went to when we raised the Series A, so we wanted to prove whether the model is, we proved the model is scalable. From 80 rides a day we went up to 700 rides, right? Then whether the model is replicable and whether the model is profitable. Then in that case, why don't you do it in a city like Delhi, where people are not so tech savvy? People have their neighborhood taxi walas and stuff like that. Let's see whether it will work or not. So that's where the replicability came in, right? So that is on the demand side. What about if there is a monopoly in the market? So can you do it in Chennai? Where Chennai Fast Track had the complete monopoly on the supply side. We had to replicate in a city like Delhi where the demand is not tech savvy. We had to replicate in a city where the supply is completely monopolized. There is no fragmentation itself, right? If it works there, then any other city in India falls
in one of these categories.
In one of these categories and stuff like that. In this spectrum, Delhi is on one extreme, Chennai is another extreme. Every other city is there. So on a Sunday, one of the call center team leads was looking at all the customer data, right, who were booking taxis in Chennai. I think in 2011, 2012, from the first 5 digits, you can figure out which state's telecom circle that that phone number belonged to.
The origin.
Right. Yeah. So 98453 was Airtel Karnataka. Right, something like that. So he was looking at it and he realized that, and we were doing decent number of bookings, around 500 rides a day or something like that we were doing in Chennai. So we had a lot of data. This is like 2 months into Chennai. And he realized that 94% of the customers don't belong to Tamil Nadu only. Right, and the 7% could be from Coimbatore or another place. Like, we were completely shocked. How can there be a skewness? So we spoke to some of the customers and why are you guys booking? They were like, if I book through you, I get English speaking driver.
Got it.
So we cut down all marketing. So we brought out the hoardings, we stopped the radio ads, we stopped this. Then we started marketing in Shatabdis running from Bangalore to Chennai, Hyderabad to Chennai and stuff like that. And 45 minutes before the flights to Chennai departed from Delhi airport, Mumbai airport, Calcutta airport, Hyderabad airport, Bangalore airport, we would send an SMS blast that if you need an English speaking driver in Chennai, call 60 60 10 10.
And so at 2013, I think also you had raised your Series B, which at that time I think was.
We didn't have to raise money. We had a lot of money in the bank.
Yeah.
There was a lot of inbound requests because we were doing that. We had replicated. So Bangalore took around 17 months to get to 1,000 rides a day. Delhi took 13 months. Chennai got there in 5 months.
Wow. But something changed with the SoftBank $200 million into Ola, right? Like how did the competition between both of you develop?
So we were doing that. So I think we were at one point in time, quite a long time, we were leading. But after we opened up Delhi and Chennai, for some reason, we wanted to prove profitability in Delhi and Chennai also. So that's a call that we took at a board level and stuff like that to build a profitable, scalable business and stuff like that. Those people went on a aggressive growth path. Right. So then they figured out that if they incentivize drivers and customers, the demand will, the customers, you drop the prices, the demand will increase significantly, and you incentivize the drivers to more number of bookings, so the numbers will grow significantly. So they started doing that. So they were bleeding every ride, and we were focusing on profitability.
And they're losing money every ride. You're trying to make money make profits every ride.
Right. So that's what we were focusing on, and we knew that how much money they had and stuff like that. When they started this, right, we never joined the bandwagon. Uber was also doing the same. Ola also started doing that, and we thought that with the money that Ola has, probably they can do this for maximum 2 months. After that, the market is going to come there, and we knew that the customer has no loyalty. Whoever can send the cab the soonest or the earliest, they will take the market and go.
Yeah,
that was the thing. So that's how we ignored the first wave, right? When SoftBank put money, $200 million, then we realized that this is going to continue for a longer time. It is going to continue for a longer time. Then there will be huge disparity between us and them.
And this time you must have between $10-15 million.
Yeah.
And
we had done a Series C also.
So now you realize that there is a big backer to your primary competitor, and they can just burn forever.
So October 28th, 2014 is when SoftBank put in the $200 million in Ola.
Got it.
Right. So then with that money, they're going to probably do the same thing, and we had money and stuff like that. That's when we realized that that's the case, we'll go. And we didn't want to randomly burn and stuff like that. So we control the burn because the thing is, they would incentivize our drivers to leave us and come. So in the entire taxi hailing space across the world, right, Uber has always eliminated competition because they take the supply by providing crazy incentives. If you don't have supply, no customer will come to you. And that's how companies would die, competition would die. That's what Uber was mastered on. And so both Uber and Ola were trying to do the same thing. For whatever loyalty that drivers had with us, none of them left and gone. But if this extends for a considerable period of time, they will also, and if you don't have enough business, right, they will also probably start going. So that's when we also started on that bet. So grew, I think we were at around close to 7,000 rides a day, end of October. Right, so that's when we went. Then I started reaching out to some of the hedge funds who had reached out for a Series C, Series B and stuff like that in both Hong Kong and New York. I think first week from 7,000 rides a day to we went up to around 11,000 rides a day or something.
This is after you decided to match the burn of Ola.
Right. I wrote an email to all these investors and that okay, we grew this way. I think end of week 2, we did around 18,000 rides a day. From 7,000 in 15 days, we moved to 18,000. 7,000 to get to 7,000, we spent 3 years to get to 7,000. Within 15 days, we went to 18,000. And then week 3, I think we did 24,000 rides a day or something. All right. Week 4, we closed it around 36,000 rides a day or something.
Wow.
And in 4 weeks, we moved from 7,000 to 36,000. The investors that we were talking to were like amazed that they had never seen a company grow like this. I mean, 5x in a month. Took 3 years to get to 7,000, which was not bad.
Yeah.
And we just do that. And they knew what we can do with the money. And we're not doing this crazy burn and stuff like that. So they got super excited to invest, right? They want to meet the founder in person, right? All the other parties so that they get comfort. So December 8th was
fly to US.
Fly to US SF to meet these guys. I had a bunch of investors that I had to meet to do that. So December 7th is when I landed in the US. December 6th is when the Delhi Uber incident happened. This is the first time that a US company had got stuck in this. Right, and December 6th night happened. December 7th, the police are trying to figure out where Uber is so that they want to call the person. There is no Uber office in Delhi. And they were like completely like, and the media is questioning the Home Ministry and stuff like that, what is happening, stuff like that. Then all of a sudden, the media started publishing that all the 3 apps are banned. Ola, TaxiForSure, Uber, all 3 of them are banned.
And you are in the flight when this happens?
In the flight event. So when I went to the IC meeting, bulk of the questions were on what will happen to Uber. Right, so they were convinced about because they had seen the growth and the partner already built the story. They just wanted to meet me to get a comfort on that bit. And they're like, but the local media is, the local government is saying that all of your banned. Can we put $200 million or $250 million in a company which the local government has banned? Right? I mean, like, no, we haven't got any notices from the government. Right? It is the media that is talking about it, but high probability that the notices will follow because there is an incident, and the government will supposed to force to act on it. Right? So can we do this? Can we wait for a couple of weeks? Once we get clarity, regulatory clarity on whether you guys are banned or not, what will happen? And they were like, boss, in India, we will not get regulatory clarity. Right, because we knew this because Delhi, the government was put cab apps under Home Ministry because of the security thingy. West Bengal government had put it as under IT Ministry because we're a tech app. Right, Karnataka government has put us under Transport Ministry because we are doing taxi services. Right, Gujarat was in a completely DOT, Department of Telecommunications.
Yeah. So you land in the US hoping to raise funds to counter your competition, but now it's a different game you're playing. Like you're practically selling the market, selling the way of operating in India.
Not selling the market only. It's about how the India operates, and Indians knew, the Indian GPs knew how the India operates. But putting, I mean, you don't want to put so much of money in. So let's say you want to buy a house, right, and the land has some issues. Would you go ahead and still buy it? Sometimes you don't want to touch that only, right? Or you want to get some clarity before you want to put money.
Got it.
Right, the way we protect our investments, our assets and stuff like that. Or let's say you want to buy an electric car and you see some multiple incidents of that car catching a fire.
Yeah.
Would you still want to go buy it?
Yeah.
So that happens. So then I realized that there is no money going to come in because everybody wants a regulatory clarity because the quantum is raised. We raising another $5-10 million, it wouldn't really matter. And this is the time to really go and get into a negotiating table to address this.
So did you open the talks about
investors? We spoke to the investors. The investors told that it's a good thing. Let's talk. So then the investors spoke to Ola's investors. Ola spoke to us. They gave us a term sheet. Then we realized that only talking to Ola will not really help. We need to probably get somebody else also. That the only other person was Uber. We spoke to Uber. Uber didn't believe in acquiring competition. They always believed in eliminating competition. So then I told the guy that I was talking to in Uber, why don't you talk to your Indian office? Right, and eventually I think we were the first companies who got a term sheet from Uber. So it was not a good experience because we never built the company to sell, but that was the thing came down to. And we didn't really like Ola, their market practices and things like that. But we had to really sell a company to them. One is hard to sell a company. Another thing is to sell a company to the competition that you hated the most. If you had respect for the competition, it's a different story, but you hated the competition, but you had to really sell it. So it was a bit of a big blow.
But your Uber offer of acquisition is better than Ola. Why did you choose Ola?
Because Uber didn't really understand how to build the business in India. So they didn't want to do a call center thing. They didn't want to have call center not just for the customers but even for the drivers. No cash acceptance and things like that. And they wanted to fire a whole lot of our team members because they wanted only the supply side.
So 8th December, you're hoping to get like money into Ramri to fight. Less than 30 days later, slightly more than 30 days later, you're at the table trying to sell the brand you've built. How hard was that for you, especially?
If you're running a startup, right, you go through those mixed emotions multiple times in the same day. 30 days is too long a time.
Okay.
Right, sometimes when you wake up, you feel that I mean, I've had days where at 4 a.m. My investor calls up and said my taxi hasn't arrived. Right, then I come to the office at 6 a.m. and figure out that there are a lot of operational issues and stuff like that. Then you sit in a review meeting in the morning, turns out to be extremely bad. And and you have to deal with a customer who is completely irritated, right? And sometimes you don't even understand why did you even start this company and stuff like that. And at 7 p.m. in the evening, you are talking to one of the guys whom you badly want in the company, right? The entire day, the day has been so bad, and at 7 p.m. you sit in front of the guy and tell that this is the best company to work for. That way, it was more emotional, primarily because I think till that point in time, right? So whatever we would think, the company would do. The acquisition happened, right? What we wanted and what we would do and what the company would do would start diverging. That was extremely tough to accept.
Right.
The ups and downs in a company are there, but the thought process of the company and yours are the same. Right? When
it's an extension of you.
Exactly. When you get, so it becomes your identity also.
That time in the startup ecosystem was unusual, right? I think you gave 1 month salary to
2 months.
2 months salary to 100% of the company, right? Why did you do that? Like what?
So I had spoken to Funny of Red Bus. I asked him, so what were you learning when you went ahead and did the deal and stuff like that?
This is Goa Bibo purchased Red Bus.
That was, he told me that, right, if I had given a choice, probably I would have given some bonuses to customers because everybody gave blood, sweat and tears to the company. Some of them had ESOPs, some of them didn't have ESOPs. So only the people who had ESOPs made money, but not the other rest of the guys. There's something that I could have probably done to them, I would have done this.
And so obviously you made a pot of gold for 2015, 2016 startup ecosystem time. Most entrepreneurs like split their journey here, right? Some people will start a company within a week. Some people will typically exit. You waited for a few years till you chose to start your next company, Solve. What was the reason for you to wait? Were you waiting for the perfect idea? Were you done with startups?
No, nothing, not at all, nothing like that. See, as I mentioned, right, we didn't start because we wanted to become entrepreneurs. We started, we had a good idea, we started. We sat through and we wanted the journey to be long. For whatever reason, the journey got short. Thankfully, we got the better end of the exit and things to do that. And by the time I had made a lot of compromises with my personal life, family life and things like that. So then you had an option to really, very few people get a second chance at setting things right. Right, we'll be stupid not to take that second chance. So then just start spending more time with the family and things like that. But along the way, I started investing. Right, investing in a whole lot of startups and stuff like that. Very early, I realized that I kind of occupy a good place because wherever I invest, the entrepreneur treats me as a fellow entrepreneur because I built a business, exited the business, and then investor thinks that I'm a fellow investor because I put in my money. So because of which I would play that, I had an amazing space in the ecosystem, right? Entrepreneurs would reach out to me anytime, or the board would reach out to me anytime and stuff like that, and we would easily manage. Then I started doing a lot of triathlons, marathons, and Ironman events and things like that. So I was in a good place. And after I finished whatever that I had to finish and stuff like that, then I thought that, okay, what should I do next? Too early to be retired and stuff like that. Then started looking at exploring different options to start companies more that way.
How did you come across the idea for Solve?
For my angel investment, I would travel to China and US repeatedly to figure out what kind of startups are the seed investors backing in those countries, so that I can come and see are there any similar companies in India that I should be backing. Right, that's how the journey started. And during one such travel, a few of my friends had just moved to the US, and they hosted me for dinner. When the check came, they took out cash to pay, and I asked them, why are you taking out the cash to pay? Where is your card? Then they mentioned that they don't get credit cards in the US because they don't have a local credit history. Then I asked, but you have phenomenal credit history in India, why can't you just use it? They mentioned that you can't use Indian stuff in India, in the US. What are you saying? Your engineering degrees are valid in the US. Your Indian engineering degrees are valid in the US. Your driving license is valid in the US because you can rent a car with an Indian driving license. Why can't you just use your credit history? It's like, no, this is how the system works. I thought, is it only US problem? Then I spoke to some folks in Canada, UK, Australia, Germany. Everybody said this in the same country is the same problem. Credit worthiness of an individual is a reflection of their behavior. The location has nothing to do with it. I mean, we are in Bangalore today. Tomorrow we're in Bombay or Delhi. We have the same credit history. And instead of Bombay, we end up in New York. We are high risk for no fault of ours, right? And that we thought that it's a good problem, and we try to go about trying to solve that problem.
And anything about your TaxiForSure journey that I should have asked that I've missed out on?
So there was one learning that I had. One of our investors had put me in touch with one amazing guy, right, who has stellar CV and stuff like that. Because the investors recommended, I spoke to him and like them and stuff like that. We got him on board, but it wouldn't work only. And I used to feel that, boss, the guy is good, amazing CV, the ref checks are also fine, investors recommended. Why is it not working between us? Right? If things are not working between us, there must be some problem. One of us has to be the problem. And that guy comes with an action. I thought I felt that I was the problem because things are not really working out. And it took me a while to realize that there was no problem as such. It's just that I realized that there are two kinds of people. There are people who are goal oriented, there are people who are task oriented. Right, depending on the role, you need to really figure out goal oriented. So I realized that the goal oriented folks gel extremely well with goal oriented folks. Till you arrive at a goal, there is a lot of back and forth discussion and stuff like that. Once, let's say, the two folks are convinced that this is the goal that we are pursue, and the goal oriented person doesn't want any micromanagement. I know what the goal is and why the goal has to be achieved. Give me enough resources. If there are lack of resources, I'll come to you. Once you give me all those resources, I'll know how to go about doing it. I'll get it done. Right, because I agree on the goal. And then there is task-oriented people, they have no idea. Don't me goal gill and stuff like that. Don't tell me that how India is going to be a $10 trillion company and stuff like that. I have no idea how to, from 4 trillion, I will get to 10 trillion. You tell me what should I do today. I will do it. Right, and don't tell me that. I can't work for that with that guy because of these reasons. Then we parted ways. Then I started looking out for doing my interviews and stuff like that. I started feeling interviewing people who are more goal oriented and things like that. So we agree on a goal. We can debate, discuss, and stuff like that. We agree on a goal. We do this.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Raghu, for spending time. It's wonderful to hear the Taxi for Sure journey.